Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hadria Stewart, and I'm a member of the Kingston Technical High School family. I'll be your teacher of English this afternoon. In today's lesson, we'll be focusing on understanding nouns. Let's get started. Let's start with our objectives for today. So at the end of today's session, candidates should be able to do the following. First one, identify the various types of nouns in English. Explain the different ways in which regular and irregular nouns form their plurals, and engage in activities that will enable them to pluralize nouns correctly. Now, our syllabus focus for this afternoon is writing, and specifically we're focusing on using grammar, punctuation, and spelling in writing. The aim of this unit is to develop skills, yes, to develop your skills in punctuation, grammar, and spelling to enable the learner to aid understanding when writing a range of complete sentences and to use a range of reference sources to ensure accuracy. Now let's pay attention to something that the Chief Examiner said in the 2019 report. The examiner said that candidates should be aware of when S is required at the end of a word. It simply means that some persons are adding S to words incorrectly, and it is important enough for the examiner to mention it, which means that we have to spend some time to look at it. So pay attention. Remember to get your notebooks out and your pens and to make notes as we go along. Now let's start by defining a noun, and I'm sure that everybody knows what a noun is, right? But we're still going to revise because it's important. So we say that a noun is a word that represents what? A person, a place, or a thing. Everything we can see or talk about is represented by a word. Yes, that word is called a noun. You might find it useful to think of a noun as a naming word, and I'm sure that when you were in primary school, that is what you were taught. Nouns, and often a noun is a name for something that we can touch, right? So we can talk about the lion, the cake, and the computer, and we can touch all of those things. But sometimes a noun names something that we cannot touch, yes. Things like bravery, mile, joy. And we will talk about those nouns in a little while. Let's zoom in now on common nouns, or common examples rather of nouns. So these are examples that we're very, very familiar with. Okay, so notice that some of these have capital letters, and we've already spoken about the use of capital letters and the importance of using capital letters appropriately. So we're going to focus on person and place. When we talk about person, we can talk about a soldier, we can talk about Alan, we can talk about cousin, we can talk about a lawyer. Now, if you look at Alan, you'll realize that it is capitalized, right? We'll talk about that in a little while. Then we talk about place. Yes, you can talk about your house, you can talk about St. James, the factory, a shelter, right? And you zoom in on St. James, you will realize that it is capitalized, and it is capitalized for a very good reason. All right, so these are some common examples of nouns. Now, nouns include objects, animals, and ideas, right? So we can talk about table, right? London Bridge, chisel, nitrogen, month, ruler, and stove. All of these are objects, things that we can touch. Then we can also touch the animals. We can talk about the elephant and the cow and the dog, right? And then we have the ideas now. These are the ones that we cannot touch. So confusion, kindness, faith, theory of relativity, joy. We cannot touch these, but they are still nouns. Now, pay attention to the very last sentence on this slide. It says most nouns can be pluralized. How many? All? No, most. Most nouns can be pluralized, which usually involves adding S to the end. Remember, the examiner says you need to pay attention to how you add S to some words, all right? We can go ahead now to talk about common nouns and proper nouns. And I know that for some of you, this is revision. For some persons, this is totally new. So make sure that you make your notes as we go along. Now, a noun can be categorized as either a common noun or a proper noun. Right? So common or proper. Now, a common noun is the word for a person, place, or thing. It's the word that appears in the dictionary. So if you were to look in the dictionary, you will find these nouns. So you would find person, you would find city, you would find dog. All right? So the nouns that we're able to find in the dictionary, we call them common nouns. The proper noun now is the given name of a person. So my given name is Hadria, right? Given name of a person, a place, or thing. And it is likely to be a personal name or a title. So we have some examples on the board. So Gregory is a given name, Westmoreland is a given name, and Rover is a given name. And you will notice that all my examples are capitalized, right? Proper nouns are always capitalized. They name specific people, places, and things. A proper noun always starts with a capital letter. You know it, please practice it. Practice it when you're sending your text messages. Practice it when you are writing your sentences, your paragraphs, your essays, your articles, your emails. Practice makes perfect. So practice, practice, practice the correct things. The difference between common nouns and proper nouns becomes clearer when they are listed side by side. So let's look at this. So we have a set of common nouns and we have a set of proper nouns. So a boy is a common noun. If you were to look in the dictionary, you would find a definition for boy. And a given name for a boy could be Daniel, right? It could be Dave, it could be Trevor, it could be Ian, you name it. We can talk about a parish, which is a common noun. We're not talking about any parish in particular, right? The proper noun, an example would be Clarendon. We're talking about a specific parish. Street, Mockingbird Circle, proper noun. Monkey, you can call your monkey Boo Boo, right? Or you can give your monkey another nice name. Bridge, we can talk about flat bridge. So we have the common nouns written with common letters and we have the proper nouns that are capitalized. How to spot a common noun and a proper noun? Very, very important. You need to know the difference. So a common noun answers the question, what is it? What is it? What are you talking about? The table, the pen, the book, the chair. A proper noun answers the question, what is its name? Yes, remember the proper noun focuses on the given name. Okay? So the common noun answers the question, what is it? And the proper noun answers the question, what is its name? And I'm going to illustrate. So here's our question. What is it? It is a bridge. Just a bridge. Nothing special, right? The word bridge here is a common noun. My other question is, what is its name? I'm asking you now for something specific. There are many bridges in the world. I'm asking you now for something specific. It is London Bridge. The name London Bridge is a proper noun. Very, very specific. It's a given name and it is capitalized. Now let's talk a little bit more about nouns. As well as being categorized as common noun or proper noun, a noun can further be categorized according to its meaning or its structure. Example, is it something tangible, meaning can you touch it, like the table, or is it made up of more than one word, right? So you can have a compound noun. So let's explore these. So we're going to look today at some noun types. And I have 3 examples on the board. So I have a compound noun here, which is brother-in-law, made up of 3 words, right? I have determination and I have committee. Now you know that a committee is a group of persons working together. Now under noun type, I have abstract noun, concrete noun, and collective noun. Now the abstract noun, as I have said before, is something that cannot be seen or touched. You cannot see it or touch it, but it exists, okay? And on the board now, I'm asking the question, what is the abstract noun here? Is it brother-in-law, determination, or committee? And of course, it is committee. I can't see it, and I definitely can't touch it, okay? Then I go to the concrete noun now, which can be seen or touched. Can I touch the brother-in-law? Yes. Can I touch the committee members? Yes. Can I touch determination? No. Okay? Then we go to the collective noun. Collective, you hear collective, you think of a group, right? Yes, it represents a group, a collection. Is brother-in-law a collective noun? No. What about determination? No. What about committee? Yes. It's a group of persons working together. So we have some more noun types. So we have compound noun, we have gender-specific noun, and we have non-countable noun. And there are others, yes. There are many other types of nouns. So guess what? I'm going to give you a challenge as always. Go on the internet and do your research or explore your language textbooks. So let's talk about these now. So we have the compound noun. Is brother-in-law a compound noun? Remember, compound words are made up of 2 or 3 or more words, right? So yes, brother is a word by itself, in is a word by itself, and law is a word by itself, and we can put the 3 together and get a new word, okay? Like how we would for football. Okay, so yes, brother is a compound noun. Determination is not, and committee is not. Let's talk about gender-specific noun now. Is it masculine or feminine? Is brother-in-law masculine? Yes. What about determination? No. What about the committee? No, we would have to single out the members of the committee, but the committee as a whole, right, is not masculine or feminine. Then we go now to non-count nouns, and these cannot be pluralized. I can pluralize brother-in-law, I can pluralize committee, but I cannot pluralize determination. Okay? So those are some nouns, and as I've said before, I have not exhausted the list. So go and do your research and add to what I am sharing with you. Now, nouns have different functions. So nouns have different functions. So they're not as simple as we think they are. So we can use nouns as subjects, objects, and complements. And we spoke already about subjects and objects when we were talking about the different types of sentences. Now, a noun can function as a subject, it can function as an object, or as a complement within a sentence. And I'm going to illustrate. So we have 3 sentences on the board. The noun that we're focusing on is oranges, okay? Now, as a subject, we could write this sentence. Oranges contain vitamin C. What are we talking about? We're talking about oranges. That's the subject of our sentence. The rest of the sentence is just giving us information about oranges, so we call that the predicate. Now here as the object, now you'll realize that oranges fits into the predicate part of the sentence. So he likes oranges. What's my subject? It's not oranges, no. It's he, the pronoun he. Okay? So likes oranges make up my predicate. So the object here now is the oranges. And then the complement, they are oranges. The oranges here is describing what they are. Okay? So we have the noun here, oranges, functioning as subject, as object, and as complement. So noun is very, very busy. Now, point of information, a complement in grammar is a word, clause, or phrase that's needed to describe the subject or object of a sentence. Complements typically follow linking verbs which show connection rather than action. Bear that one in mind. Now let us talk now about making nouns plural, right? So this is where some persons have a great challenge. So I wanted to pay attention. And you're going to find that some of the rules you're very, very familiar with. Some of them you may not be so familiar with. Okay, so we know this rule. To make some regular nouns plural, you add S to the end. You cannot add S to every noun to make it plural. Doesn't work like that in English, okay? So notice it says to make some regular nouns. We normally say that we pluralize regular nouns by adding S or ES. Now the irregular ones change in different ways and some don't change at all. So we have a simple word like cat. We're talking about one cat, but when we want to talk about more than one, we have to indicate this in English. So we can add the S and we get the cats. Same thing for house, changes to houses. Vehicle changes to vehicles. So we simply add the S and we get the plural form, but we can't do this in every case. Now, if the singular nouns end in S, SS, SH, CH, X, or Z, you add ES to the noun to make it plural. So we have bus changes to buses, marsh, marshes, lunch, lunches, and tax, taxes. So we simply added ES before we simply added the S. This one says, if the noun ends with F or FE, the F is often changed to what? Yes, VE before adding the S to form the plural version. So here we have wife. So we're going to change the FE to V and then add ES. And we have wolf, we're going to change the F. So we have one ending with FE, one ending with F. So we change that F in wolf and we get wolves, okay? But there are some exceptions. You know, with English, many rules, but there are usually some exceptions, so we have to learn the exceptions. So we have roof, belief, chef, and chief. All of these end with F, but the rule that I gave you before does not apply. So for these words, we simply add S and we get the roofs, the beliefs, the chefs, and the chiefs. All right? So bear those in mind. Now the next rule says if a singular noun ends in Y and the letter before the Y is a consonant. Remember we spoke about consonants and vowels? Right. So if a singular noun ends in Y and the letter before the Y is a consonant, we're going to change the ending to IES to make the plural noun. So city, we would normally say we drop the Y, right? So we're going to drop the Y and add IES, and we're going to do the same for puppy to get puppies. So what comes before city is the consonant T, and what comes before the Y in city is the consonant T, and what comes before the Y in puppy is the consonant P. Here's another rule for you to pay attention to. If the singular noun ends in Y and the letter before the Y is a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes Y, right? But A-E-I-O-U typically, simply add S to make it plural. So we have Ray, right? And what comes before the Y? And A, right? That's a vowel. That gives us a vowel sound. And then boy, we have the O. It gives us a vowel sound. So we change Ray to rays and boy to boys by simply adding the S. Excellent. This rule says if the singular noun ends in O, we add ES to make it plural. So potato becomes potatoes and tomato becomes tomatoes. Simply add the ES, right? But guess what again? Exceptions to the rule. That's just the way English is. All right? So we have photo, we have piano, we have halo. All of them end with O, but we simply add the S to make them plural. So we have photo, photos, piano, pianos, and halo, halos. So remember the rules and try to remember the exceptions to the rules as well. Very, very important. Now look at this one. Quite unique. With the unique word volcano, you can apply the standard pluralization for words that end in O or not. It's your choice because guess what? Both of the following are correct. So you have volcanoes, you can add the ES or you can simply add the S. But there are not many words like this. So you have to learn these words and try to remember them. Next one says if the singular noun ends in US, the plural ending is frequently I. And what you're going to find with a lot of these words is that they are of Latin origin. So they form their plural in unusual ways, you would say, okay? So cactus becomes cacti, focus, foci. Then if the singular noun ends in if the singular noun ends in IS, then the plural ending is ES. So it's almost like you're changing the I to E, okay? So we have analysis and we changes to analyses, and we have ellipsis, changes to ellipses. Look at these. So remember the Latin origin, very, very important. Now, if the singular noun ends in on, the plural ending is a. So we have phenomenon, that's singular, one thing, and phenomena, plural. Then we have criterion, and the plural is criteria. Yes. And we have some other examples as well. So we have addendum, and this one has two plural forms. So some words actually have two, like volcano, right? So we can have addenda or we can have addendums. Then we have alumnus, we can have alumni. Alumni is a plural for this one. And then we have curriculum, which has two plural forms. It's either curricula or curriculum. So anyone you use is correct. Then we have larva, plural is larvae, alumna, alumnae, erratum changes to errata. These are of Latin origin. Apex, apices, crisis, crises, and datum is data. We use the word data a lot. Maybe it's the first time that you're learning that the singular form is actually datum. Here are some other irregular nouns. So you know the ox changes to oxen, oasis, oases, tuna doesn't change, right? So remember I said at the beginning that you have some nouns that don't change at all. Vita, vitae, quiz, quizzes, so with double the Z, and index, indices. Now let's talk about the ones that don't change. So we have some nouns that don't change at all when they are pluralized. So we're talking about them in a plural sense, but we don't do anything at all to them. So we always talk about sheep. Yes. We always talk about series. We always talk about species. All right? We always talk about deer. and aircraft. Yes, aircraft. We always talk about furniture and equipment. Now, if I want to pluralize furniture, we're definitely going to have to say pieces of furniture, and the very same thing for equipment, pieces of equipment, but we don't add S to them. You need to see these nouns in context to identify them as either singular or plural. Consider this sentence. Mark caught 1 fish, but I caught 3 fish. Now, I know you've heard some people use fishes before, yes, especially when they're talking about different species of fish in science, then they use fishes. But generally speaking, we use fish as singular and as plural. So in the first part of my sentence, you will realize that Mark caught 1 fish, so it's used in the singular sense, but I caught 3 fish, plural sense. So context is always very, very important. Now, irregular nouns follow no specific rules. And as you can see from the examples, there are many irregular nouns in English, and some of them come from other languages. So it is best to memorize them or to look up the proper pluralization in the dictionary. And yes, you will have your dictionary in the examination room. Your school is not going to provide a dictionary for you, so make sure you actually take the dictionary and the thesaurus to the exam room with you. So we have child, and you know the plural form already, right? Children. And we have goose and we have geese. So here we just changed the middle vowels, all right, for the goose and the geese, and we added the R-E-N from child to get it to become children. Then we have man, changes to men, woman, woman, tooth, teeth, foot, feet, mouse, mice. So let's look at some compound nouns quickly. Okay, so we say that the compound words are made up of 2 or more independent words, and they come together now to form new words. How do I pluralize brother-in-law? I say brothers-in-law. How do I pluralize byway? I say byways. How do I pluralize cupful? I say cupfuls. How do I pluralize hanger-on? I say hangers-on. So these are compound nouns. What about man of war? Yes, it becomes men of war. What about bylaw? It becomes bylaws. Mousetrap becomes mousetraps. Yes, pay attention to that one. It's mousetraps. And passerby becomes passersby. Now let's practice. All right, remember it's important to practice what you have learned. Now you're going to change all singular nouns to plurals. I have 2 sentences on the screen. I heard the echo in the cave. Can you identify the nouns that you need to pluralize? Think about it. Next one says the man fed the calf. All right, let me see if you worked it out correctly. Yes. I heard the echoes in the caves, right? And the next one, the man fed the calf, the men fed the calves. All right, excellent. These now, the fisherman caught the trout. Trout is one of those words that cannot change. It does not change, all right? The ox ate the potato. We use a spoonful of sugar to make the pancake, all right? Zoom in now on the words that we should pluralize. Let's see if you got this one correct. Yes. So the fishermen caught the trout. Remember, trout doesn't change. The ox ate the potato becomes the oxen ate the potatoes. And we used 2 spoonfuls of sugar to make the pancakes. Very, very good, right? I have shared a lot with you today. And remember, you can always go back and re-watch the lesson and make your notes. Remember that knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice. It is true. We learn a lot, but how much do we put in practice? And I always tell my students, practice the correct thing all the time, and life will be easy for you and easy for me.